podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
All right, I'm here with Tom. We are going to talk about the World Cup. But Tom, first, has there been any news this week that maybe we should touch on? Heard anything important going on?
I don't think so. I've heard a couple of rumblings from Elon Musk, and I think someone who used to play for United has been chatting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. An absolute twat talking nonsense. And also Cristiano Ronaldo. I saw this morning my time, that United are planning on suing him for breach of contract, which I wasn't sure whether they'd have the actual balls to do that. And because, I mean, clearly it's a breach of contract given the clauses typical Premier League contract has. So what are your thoughts overall on Ronaldo gate?
Okay, I'm going to start off on an empathic note, just because then it'll make it easier to kind of transition into the evisceration, which I'm sure will lead a little bit later. It must be very difficult, and it's hard to even imagine how difficult it would be for to go through what he has gone through in May and through the summer with the loss of a child like that. I know people who've lost children in similar circumstances, and my heart breaks for them. And whatever he was before that moment is going to change him as a person, and it must be tumultuous and just almost impossible to live with at times. However, that doesn't and I feel, though, despite that heartache that he's gone through, he's using that as an excuse, and I feel like some people have bought into that a little bit with that kind of, like, he's trying to almost pull on the heartstrings of people a little bit, and it's definitely worked to some degree. And I don't want to downplay what he has been through, but it's not like this. It's changed him from what he was doing before. Like, like I say, it's horrible what he's gone through, but then he hasn't. He's exactly the same person as he was before in the regards that what we're seeing with this. It's absolutely like he's using that as a completely a huge excuse for just abhorrent behaviour, which he's gotten away with throughout his whole career. You look at the walk-off moment at Tottenham. He did that multiple times at Juventus. And his behaviour throughout this whole period, people have just indulged that because he's been a fantastic footballer. Whereas now, he's not getting indulged anymore. He's still been let off the leash, let off all of his misdemeanors every single time. Think back to that Tottenham game. He's been captain of Manchester United since then. It's crazy. And every single time he's done something wrong, he's got a second chance. And then to come out like this, it's just unbelievable twattishness. It's unbelievable twattishness. Like, and I was so flabbergasted when it happened. Do you think back to like Lukaku's interview last year that caused a really big storm, and it's absolutely nowhere near the level. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in football. I've seen it in like American sports before. You kind of see that kind of outlandishness from a huge ego. I'm thinking like Antonio Brown or something, who played for Tampa Bay, who walked off in the middle of a game and took his shirt off and hoopered and hollered and then slammed his employers. But in professional football, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. To go and choose a twat like Piers Morgan to do it, who completely indulged in the whole scenario, just treated it like it was like a PR stunt, egged him on, indulged him. Yeah, exactly. Like there was that one line. There's been so many lines that I'm sure we'll get into. There was the one line where he said, I think it was the one that came out just this morning, where he said, I bet Rooney hates you even more when talking about his Instagram followers or the money he's got in his bank. And then Ronaldo replied something like, yeah, or all the other rats like him. He said rats. Like, oh my God, this man. He is horrible. Horrible man.
He is. I'm glad you brought up his potential state of mind, because I just don't buy it. No. And I can't get into his mind and how it feels to have lost his child, obviously, not been through that. But this was a scripted interview, planned and scripted. And so this wasn't an emotional state of mind that he was unable to control. This was planned. The questions were clearly scripted and fed to him, and he had the answers scripted too. So I'm not going to buy any of that. This was planned, and it was planned to be as disruptive as possible so that United have absolutely no choice but to let him go. And I think the calculus has been from his camp, which I may well be wrong, that he could do this and United would pay him off to leave. Mm. And that it was the whole point, talking to Morgan, doing it off book, making it as offensive to as many people as possible. The whole point is that United would feel like they just had to cancel the contract and pay him the 12.5 million that he's apparently owed. So, yeah, I'm not buying any excuses. It's the worst behaviour I've seen from a player ever. Mm. I mean, in media terms, obviously there's some stuff that players have done that is worse.
It's the calculation.
What Ronaldo might have done, what Greenwood might have done, what Mendy might have done, so on, right?
What Ronaldo might have done.
What Ronaldo might have done, yeah. But it was calculated. And then and there are so many examples, but the thing that comes out most of all throughout this interview, the 90 minutes, is the narcissism. The absolute uncontrolled sociopathic narcissism that is a result of, well, one, his personality, but also being coddled and surrounded by yes men for, I imagine, the best part of the last 20 years. And I think he genuinely believes he is the best player in the world still, and it's going to be so hard for him. It's all going to come crashing down soon. We've seen him, right? He's not going to get a starting place in a top club. Not that a top club would want to have him. Like, who would want him in their squad now? No one, right?
That toxicity.
It's going to be so hard for him. And, I want him nowhere near the club. And it looks like they told him never to come back. And it looks like they are suing him for defamation, which I'm no lawyer, but I have to say there are about 25 examples that I think they can use there. And even if that's to force him to unilaterally cancel the contract, then great. I want him gone. But as a person, he is going to be completely unable to cope with what comes next. Mm-hmm. It's like the boxer who keeps coming back, except and keeps getting punched in the face. George Foreman, right? Or someone like that. Muhammad Ali, who just went on too long. Except it's even harder to hide in a football team because you're compared with 10 other players constantly, or 21 others, because you've got your competition. Anyway, it's going to be. We are supposed to be talking about the World Cup, but we can not touch on this. It's all come crashing down, and I have to say, when he joined, I thought something like this might happen. I didn't think this exactly would happen. I thought it would be very disruptive, but this is just off the charts.
It's crazy. Like you say, it's super disruptive, but also it feels like a clean break now. And I think despite how sick-inducing it actually makes me feel, and I can't get out of my head how much I feel like he's using. And this feels a bit harsh saying this, but I feel like he is using the death of his son almost to use it as to kind of push through this agenda, so people can kind of feel sorry for him and what he's going through. I think it's almost like the best thing that could have happened for United. It's not like you're not going to get people now on the side. Like, you get a few. I think Athletic run a poll, and I know this isn't going to be every single United fan, but I think they ran a poll of how many people side with United or how many people sign with Ronaldo after this. And I think 88% of people wanted Ronaldo at the club. And I think it'll probably be like nearer like 70, 60%, but like it would have been a lot nearer 50-50 or maybe the other way before that. Like, people were still singing Viva Ronaldo at the last couple of games despite him walking away from Tottenham. But now he's just pushed the whole of United fan base against him. He's pushed all the players, I imagine, against him. It's such a perfect clean break, and it couldn't really have been any cleaner for United, really. I know this is a horrible thing that's happened. It leaves a real bad taste in their mouth, but I don't think there's going to be any lasting consequences from United for this. It's actually
you're right.
It's almost going to bring people together. Whereas with him, it's going to have lasting consequences, because who's going to want that toxic waste of space in their club anymore?
I mean, I just can't imagine anyone. So yes, absolutely. I mean, the only question now is like, who gets what money? Mm-hmm. There's 6 months of the contract still owed. That's £12 million or so. And that's the question. Like, how much do United have to pay him to fuck off? Or can they cancel it now? And part of the defamation lawsuit will, I think, be to put pressure on him. But for him, I mean, I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if a leading club comes in for him now. I mean, my God, who would want that? Not a single coach in a top club would want that anywhere near him. Sporting didn't want it. I mean, he claimed this is all lies, but I mean, it's been reported so widely, I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
No one. Juve, Bayern, Real, Chelsea, Sporting. Who else rejected him? I mean, there's just no one left.
No.
And he can take up a position in one of the Gulf region clubs, I imagine. China's off the table now. Russia's off the table. MLS, I don't think they would have him as a... I mean, maybe they would, because it's centrally contracted.
Can he get back in that country?
Well, that's another question. I mean, charges have been dropped, but hey, maybe some others would appear if he was in there.
Risk,
so maybe, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what the options are for him. I mean, I suppose the best option is that Portugal win the World Cup and he can just retire.
But then he said in that interview that he wanted to stay till he was 40. And then he's talking about, Saudi Arabia offered me this much money. Like, it does just feel like the only options available to him is in the Gulf, or potentially Turkey, because they've got like money. I mean, you think that Fenerbahce or Galatasaray would welcome him with open arms. They take every other Premier League reject, so I'm sure it'd be perfect for them. But it's a big step down, isn't it, to go to Turkey?
Quite. I don't know whether his ego would cope with it. I mean, and the fact that he talked so openly about having 100 million Instagram followers and how much money he's got in the bank and stuff like that. I mean, I met a few CEOs over the years whose status is, it's not just about their title, but about how much they earn, and they compare themselves to their peers. And I feel like Ronaldo's doing that as well, and that even if he went to Turkey, if they paid him enough money, that he might. It's not just about the amount of money, because he's got more money than he could ever spend in his bank account, and I mean, I don't suppose sponsors will drop him for this, so he's going to keep earning money like David Beckham for many years after he's stopped playing. So that's never going to be an issue, but it is about status. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about the World Cup?
Yes.
I'm going to do a follow-up piece to this with Wayne as well, because, of course, we had very different ideas around Ronaldo when he joined, and I think that'll be a nice contrast piece. It'll be a bit of a debate, which should be fun. So, World Cup, yeah, I put out today, so today's Friday, my interview with May Romanos and Fabian Goa at Amnesty International. I do encourage you to go listen to that. I think it's a really good conversation, kind of level set us about Qatar, migrant workers, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, and trafficking and indentured servitude and basically slavery that happens there. It's deeply dark. And I'm well aware of all the pushback I get when I talk about this, about othering and about not understanding Qatari culture and stuff like that. But I think the facts speak for themselves on the things that are actually happening. And anyway, so we're talking today, and the big controversy is that beer may not be in the World Cup stadiums. And this is the one thing I just couldn't give a crap about, because I do think that's cultural. I think it's okay to have a World Cup in a nation that doesn't drink alcohol. Right? I think totally okay. Yeah. Couldn't care less if there was beer or not beer. I do care about workers dying and workers living in awful conditions, and the gay community not being able to be open, and women being slaves to their husbands, and all of that. I do really care about that. Also care about the football. What about you? Should we talk about football?
Yeah, it would be nice. The only thing is, though, it's just almost like to put a caveat on talking about the football. It just feels almost a little bit like wrong to talk about the football because of all the shit that is going on. But yeah, I think we should just try at least.
I know I have massive cognitive dissonance. I mean, I know Paul doesn't want to watch the World Cup at all. Actually, when I spoke to May and Fabian, what they said to me is, no, like the people in the region are really excited about it. And it's okay to enjoy the football. The players didn't choose this. The fans didn't choose this. The local people and workers didn't choose this. That's for the FAs and FIFA and the Qatari government to fix all the problems. And don't feel like that. But as long as you know, right, you're not getting sport washed if you understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to say it's like a tribute to the people who died creating these stadiums, but I imagine the people who have built them, who are thankfully still alive, they must feel an enormous pride about the work that they have achieved. They've come over from Bangladesh, Nepal, in a lot of instances, India, Pakistan, mainly Southeast Asia, South Asia, from my understanding, and they've worked on a really huge project, which I imagine is quite exciting. I've read a couple of interviews with the migrant workers who have spoken about that. Obviously, the conditions that they have been in have been horrendous and unspeakable at times. Like how heart-wrenching that is, hearing those stories. I heard one just from a friend yesterday whose friend is from Nepal, and one of their friends, this is feel like, oh my God, how many lines are you going to go through? But
your hairdresser's milkman who once visited Nepal on holiday heard that.
It's almost that far away. But someone from back home, basically in Nepal, she died, and just I think about 2 months after having a child, and her husband is working at the World Cup in Qatar, and had his passport taken away, so he can't even go back and look after the child. So the child's basically an orphan while the kid's dad is working in Qatar and can't get back. And the stories like that are numerous, I imagine, and obviously people dying at the World Cup for these stadiums as well. But like I say, there must be a huge sense of pride in that, and I think, like, not to be glib, it feels like it's actually a little bit of a tribute for this thing to go ahead and not to be a complete waste of time in many ways. Hopefully, like, change can be spurned from that, but it would be,
And I'm really glad that there has been a lot of focus on the issues around the World Cup. And I think generally, to date, we'll see when the football starts, but generally, the media have focused on that in the way that they didn't with Russia. Russia got away with it.
Yeah.
And the Qataris are not. Now, there's a wider issue, I think, about why Qatar wanted this World Cup than just like reputational sport washing. I think it is about soft power and geopolitics and national security.
Yeah,
like
safety.
Buy some friends with this. It's much harder to get invaded, which is, I think, very much on the minds of the regime if you're sort of well known. And so it's not just this World Cup, it's other sporting events, and it's ownership of major companies in the US and the UK and around the world and so on. So this is part of a wider strategy, but there is football. And United have 16 players at the World Cup we are a United podcast, so I guess we ought to give it that spin. 16. Can you name them all? So I've got a list in front of me, so I'm cheating.
Oh, God. Hannibal was the last
I'll give them to you. Yes, Hannibal. Yes. Hannibal. So we've got 2 on loan. So Hannibal's out on loan, and Alex Telles with Brazil is out on loan.
Of course, yeah.
And then 14 in the first team squad. Malacia, Rashford, Maguire, Shaw, Martinez, Varane, Ericsson, Casemiro, Fred, Anthony, Dalot, Fernandes, Ronaldo, and Palestri.
Palestri, yeah. So, I think he's got a really low number as well, so it's good news for him, probably, I guess.
Well, he's been playing a lot for Uruguay.
Yeah,
Uruguay play South Korea, Portugal. That'd be a fun one. And Ghana. The Portuguese have Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Brazil have Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Tunisia, Denmark, Australia, and France. Denmark obviously have Tunisia, France, and Australia. Varane with France is the same squad. Argentina have Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. England have Iran, USA, and Wales. The USA game the day after Thanksgiving will be a fun one for me. I'm going to brave it and put an England shirt on, which I never normally do, to be honest. And the Netherlands have Senegal, Qatar, and I think that's right. And that's the opening game. Qatar versus Ecuador. The Qataris, as well as pulling FIFA's pants down over beer, got the date of the tournament changed so they could have the first date all to themselves.
It's a disgrace, that is, because I imagine there was Ecuadorian fans who would have booked their... I mean, I can't imagine there's many because I think there's 3,000 England fans travelling from England. So I'd imagine the number from Ecuador is going to be less than that.
Probably, although South Americans do travel in big numbers.
Oh, they really do.
Ecuador is a small country.
Yeah, Peru in the last World Cup were one of the highlights of the tournament, like seeing their fans there, I think for the first time in about 30 years or something. Yeah, so... I imagine, yeah, like you say, they are going to turn up. But like, if you have booked a flight to arrive on that Sunday and you're going to miss the game, like, oh my God, it's just to do that. What was it, 2 or 3 months before the tournament as well? It's just, come on,
yeah.
That is so much
the new
worse
Twitter
than
in which
the not
the beer
thing.
thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I know. They've been putting pressure on FIFA about all sorts of things. There was the new Twitter which allows anyone with $8 to go off and buy their accreditation, a blue check mark. It's just been an absolute scummy hellscape. Hellscape is the word I was searching for of disinformation, but there were a few totally with lacking in credibility tweets about this match having already been bought.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But that's the thing. If Qatar win this game, and they actually they're not the worst team in the tournament. They're not the lowest ranked team,
and they've been in a training camp for
Asian champions.
But they've been in a training camp for about 4 months, I think. They cancelled their league,
and they do have I think I'm right in saying they have 7 ringers in the squad. It's actually less than I thought. I thought everyone would be called like Fred and Anthony and Casemiro and so on.
Yeah, I think they changed I think they used to have that kind of policy, and I think they changed it after a bit because it wasn't yielding great results.
Right, but if they do win 1-0, the conspiracy theories will be wild.
Oh my God, yeah, I know. I think Qatar actually might do quite well. I mean, like, I obviously... There's the stat where the host nation have never lost the first game in the group. And I think it's still only South Africa who never made it through the group as a host. So there is huge benefit of being the host. Like I say, they've been in training camp for 4 months. One of the big things I think about this World Cup is that teams are going to really struggle to look like a team in the early group stage games because they've been playing league football last week. England haven't even had a friendly before the tournament. A lot of countries have. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting through that group, to be honest. I've heard Ecuador are great. I've not watched much of them, but to qualify through South American football is really, really tough.
They do have some really good players, Ecuador.
Senegal obviously has been awesome in the Premier League this season.
He really has, and Brighton picked him up for almost no money.
Yeah, they got 3 Brighton players.
There was a lot of chat about him beforehand about how good he was, but... Yeah, interesting group, that one. Like, looks balanced. I mean, the Netherlands have left out some big name players. Louis has. He thinks typical Louis van Gaal fashion, he thinks they've got a good chance of winning it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did all right, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, well, look, who normally pulls out the circular firing squad, right? It's the Dutch, isn't it?
Yep.
Or the French. But the Dutch love that. Yeah. And they haven't done it. They feel like they're united.
Mm-hmm.
And Malacia, I don't know whether he'll start at left back, but he is in the squad despite moving to United. The threat that put off Urine Timber, apparently. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that squad group. England, USA, Iran, Wales. This should be fun. England open against Iran on Monday.
Yeah. There's a geopolitical stories aplenty right now in the media with us playing Iran and all the bloody chaos that's going off in that country right now.
Well, chaos with the protests and what was it? 14,000 people apparently sentenced to death for being arrested at protests. Yeah. I don't know whether the regime will follow through on that or not. And also like Iranian missiles and drones being used by the Russians in Ukraine. And I think Ukraine had a very fair point when they suggested that Iran should be kicked out of the World Cup.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, they would have. Ukraine were almost in our group. I say as English. Ukraine were almost in that group as well, with losing out to Wales in the playoff.
That's Gareth Bale, who finally managed to score for LA Galaxy, not LA Galaxy, the other one, LAFC. Yeah, who won the MLS this year.
Yeah, popped up at the right time.
Right, but I mean, even he couldn't miss that one. But 6 or 7 minutes into injury time, right at the end of the game. So it should be a good group, and I guess a chance, like being English centric here, for England to get some revenge on Wales for that Euro 2016, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, Saudi Arabia for Lisandro Martinez. That I kind of look forward to that group. I mean, the Mexicans.
Always good fun.
That great.
They're always good fun, though.
Always good fun, but not that great. I do have somewhere in my cupboard Mexico '98 shirt with the kind of.
Oh, nice! That's one of the classics, isn't it?
That's a classic. Great I'm going to be pulling out many shirts during this World Cup.
Yeah, perfect. Would that go down well in your area?
Seattle, there's a I think it's about 30% Latinx population in mostly South Seattle, not the part of the world I live in. Although if you hear any banging right now, it's because I'm getting my roof fixed, and the population of South Seattle seems to have decamped onto the top of my roof.
That reminds me
should be a good group.
That reminds me of a Curb Your Enthusiasm scene.
Episode where the guy fell through the roof. Yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Yeah. France's group, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. So quite a few United players in this one. Varane, Mejbri, Ericsson. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Antonio. Australia not very good.
No, I think they're going to be.
Try naming an Australian player right now.
Do you know Aaron Moy? He's back at Celtic after being in. Is that keeper still there? Matt Ryan? What's he doing these days? He used to be at Brighton, didn't he, for a bit?
Good question.
He was Arsenal's second choice as well.
Yeah, he was Arsenal's second choice. Yeah, and maybe. Yeah, he was at Brighton, wasn't he? For a while?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah. With one team.
My favourite player, obviously being the child that I am, Jason Cummings, who's Scottish but with an Australian mother. His nickname in just brilliant Australian fashion is Cum Dog.
Oh my god!
And you can even buy an Aussie shirt with the Cummings or Cum Dog on the back from the official Nike store, which is great.
I bet he should meet that guy who was going to sign for Forest. What was he called? Jizz something. Jizz Crumpcamp or something.
Jizz Crumpcam and Cum Dog up front. Brilliant.
Yeah, they are going to be the whipping boys, aren't they? I think, they qualified below Iran, Saudi Arabia, South Korea and Japan in Asian qualifying. So, I mean, I can't imagine Saudis are going to be that good in this tournament. So if you're qualifying below then it's a bit of a... But they did beat Peru I think it was Peru in the Intercontinental playoff. So
that's right.
I think they just took them.
I was quite sad about that when you come back to shirts because Peru got a classic.
Yeah, Peru would be so much more exciting than Australia. I mean, no offense to all the Australians.
And they were good at the last World Cup as well, Peru.
Yeah, they didn't get through the group, but they played great, exciting football. Whereas I imagine Australia are just going to come with a low block and a lot of slow players. I mean, sorry, no offense to all the Australians listening. And they did bring a great moment in 2014 when Tim Cahill hit that beautiful left-footed volley in off the bar. I think it was against Holland.
Right.
And that was a great moment.
Right,
but they haven't really got anyone quite as exciting as Tim Cahill anymore. Aaron Moy with a free kick.
No, I don't know whether exciting is the... Yeah. No, not much with Australia. I still feel like I've got nothing against Aussies, obviously, but it's the years of cricketing pain and suffering that they've inflicted on us that makes me kind of enjoy their football team being crap. I know that's petty, but that's just the way it is. Sorry. Lost all our listeners in Australia. And Christian Eriksen will be in the Denmark side and an important part of that side. And he's had a great season for United. I'm looking forward to him. And also the Danes have, with Hummel, have put out a series of sort of muted kits, of which I've got their fully black.
That is lovely as well.
Which it's lovely. Unfortunately, it's got this giant green FIFA thing on and the Qatar logo, which I will be peeling off.
I feel like they may be one of the dark horses. Actually, they did really well in the Nations League. They were very good in the last Euros, despite what happened to Christian Eriksen. Maybe that helped them in some ways as well. But like to have him back and to be as good as they are in at the moment, like they could be like this tournament is going to be wide open. Like every single squad has got deficiencies. You think to like Brazil and Argentina, who are two of the favourites, like they're in certain areas. You're thinking, okay, Dani Alves is going to be playing right back. Is this really the best team in the tournament? Like France, as midfield right now is looking weak. So I think maybe like it is a tournament that can be won by an underdog, and maybe Denmark could be the one. And then watch them.
That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Watch them go out in the group stages.
Will.
Now you've said that. No, I think that's right. I think they're actually a very good team, and they may be too good to be classified as an underdog.
That's probably true. Actually,
that's a question for the football cliches.
And they have won a major tournament more recently than England, so.
Yeah, well, so with most countries, no, that's not quite true. I mean, talking about Brazil, they're in the next group with Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. I mean, this Brazil side, you look at their forward options. I mean, they haven't really got a number 9, but they've got so many good players. And I hope this is a tournament in which Neymar is good and not a twat.
He will be a twat,
because
won't he?
He's both in almost equal measure, brilliant and twattish.
Yeah, I just from what I've heard about Brazil, because I didn't watch every South American qualifier, sorry, but they have been excellent over the past few years, and they've played a lot of competitive football, which always helps bring the team together. But they haven't played any Western European outfit for a long time, so they've not truly been tested. And every single World Cup that they've played since 2002, when they won it, they've gone out to a Western European team. And I think that's a little bit of the concern, according to like the Brazilian experts, that when they come up against a really strong Western European outfit, they may come unstuck a little bit. And they haven't been backs against the wall for a few years, especially like this group. So the kind of feeling is if things start to go badly, what will happen to the hotheads? And Neymar, when things start going badly, becomes a bit of a prick.
Yes, he's not a leader, is he? I mean, I there are deficiencies in the squad. It's interesting them not really having a number 9, but they're very strong at the back. I mean, the fullbacks are an issue.
Is Telles going to start?
If they start with yeah, he did. He started the warm-up game the other night.
Dani Alves at right back.
So that is an issue, especially as some of their games are on the earlier side. I think, and it will be bloody hot, even though it's a Winter World Cup. So I don't know whether that's going to be an issue. I mean, it certainly saps the energy. But centre back, goalkeeper, central midfield, there'll probably be sort of a bit more prosaic in there, but it gives the base. I mean, if they start with Fred and Casemiro, obviously club understanding there,
2 world class talents.
Just get. Yeah, exactly. Generous. I hope Anthony pulls out a 360 or a 720 at some point, just to absolutely boil the piss of all the English pundits commentating on this.
Against England as well, that would be good. At 4-0 up top.
That would be magic. I'm not sure quite how the brackets work, whether England could get Brazil before the semi-finals. I'm not sure about that. I did look at it at some point. I haven't got my World Cup poster.
No, you need a wall chart.
I've got a couple. I've got one of the no-score draws, Cheapskate Panini World Cup posters, and then a more official-looking one, which I may take a Sharpie to the logos just so I don't have to look at it all the time. Anyway, Brazil should walk this group. I know Switzerland and Serbia are decent sides. I have to, being very Western about this, but I don't think I've seen Cameroon play in quite a long time. So.
No, and by all accounts, they're in turmoil. I think there's loads of political issues, as in political issues within the group, and I think they're doing a bit of a France and coming apart at the seams before the tournament. I think that also happened before with Cameroon in 2006 or so. So probably not one of the African teams to watch.
It's like a World Cup cliche, isn't it? The fight about the bonuses before the World Cup starts.
Yeah. So,
what? I can't remember what country it was where they actually flew out case loads of cash to the players in order.
Was that Cameroon?
It might have been Cameroon. I forget, but there was definitely a World Cup.
Yeah. I feel like it was. I don't know.
Magic.
I'm sure people are screaming right now at us. It was these.
Yeah, almost certainly. We'll get some tweets about it. Twitter is still alive by the time we post this.
Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ. There's so much going on.
Portugal. They're really, the world is there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure we should quite equate Ronaldo interview, war in Ukraine, protests in Iran, and Twitter, and FTX going bust, all at the same level. Not quite the same thing, but good context.
Good. Yeah, okay.
Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, South Korea. South Koreans, I mean, Min is injured and they haven't really been, I mean, looking at their results, really not very good recently. So, I mean, I do wonder, although South Korea being strong at previous World Cups, whether they're not the team that's going to get smacked around in this group. And then Uruguay, actually a decent group, decent team.
Yeah.
You know, obviously some aging players, but a decent team.
Very good midfields, like Bentancur's in real form at the moment. Like Valverde, I think one of Real Madrid's better players this season. Like to have those two.
He's got double figures already for goals,
yeah,
hasn't he?
He's come on low. Well, I mean, he's already a great player, especially like last season, towards the end of last season, he came on loads. But like this season, he's, one of the best players in the league. Like, and I feel like Nunes is probably that type. I don't think he's done too well for Uruguay yet, but he's the sort of like weird mercurial talent who will end up having an incredible World Cup out of nowhere because he's got this weird, crazy confidence despite so much that he does end up going wrong. He just can continue in this, with his head down, just battling on. He's a very, very weird footballer. But they've still got Cavani, they've still got Suarez, they've still got experience in goals. They've got a different manager.
They've got some
really
good, got some good players. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't pretty good in this tournament. Portugal, I mean, I'm facing some cognitive dissonance about this one because I'd like Fernandes and Dalot to do well. I mean, Dalot might not start, although he didn't he score a couple of goals in a Portugal game recently. Yeah. And Bruno plays this like sort of half 8, half 10 role for Portugal, which actually he's played quite a bit for United this season. Yeah, slightly deeper. Ronaldo, I mean, God, I would really like him to miss a penalty in the last minute that sends Portugal out.
My God.
Just something like completely humiliating, honestly. I'm being really petty about it, but I'd like them to fail, and I'd like it to be his fault, and very obviously his fault.
That would be beautiful. Dan Story wrote a tweet saying, now wouldn't it be beautiful if the same thing happened to Ronaldo that's been happening at United this season, where he just gets shoved to the bench and has to come on in the last few minutes. It's not going to happen unless he is terrible in the first 3 games of the group. They get through the group and then he doesn't play in the 4th game. But I still think Santos is so much of a pussy that he'll just play him anyway.
I think so, yeah. I mean, they play this really negative style, and maybe that just suits Ronaldo. They don't try and break with any kind of pace. And
they would be so much better without him, though. They've got they could end up playing such an expansive game without him in the side. They've got a lot of great players.
They really could. Obviously, the lad whose name is escaping me at Atletico Madrid, João Felix. Thanks. They've got. I mean, and obviously Fernandes, and you look at the team. Looks really strong, but they're going to play this kind of really negative football, which they have done on Santos all the time, and Ronaldo's in there, and it'll just ruin them. Yeah. So anyway, they're still probably good enough to get through.
Yeah,
this.
The worst thing that I think can happen at this World Cup is that Portugal win it. I don't think there's next to no chance, but they won the Euros out of nowhere. It would be the worst thing in the world to see that man lift the trophy. I can't think of anything worse. I mean, I'm talking
I can think of things that are worse.
On pitch matters. I can't think of anything worse. I can think of lots of things worse that he's done, or allegedly done. But yes, on pitch matters, it would be, again, entirely sick-inducing. So sick-inducing that it really would. All the puke would.
Well, hopefully Ghana put them out. You never know. I mean, they've got interesting Jordan Ayew, Thomas Partey, Iñaki Williams,
Tariq Lamptey,
who. That's right, Tariq Lamptey and Salisu from Southampton's in the squad. So, and there's probably other players that I haven't seen as much who, you love the World Cup for this. You just get such a random collection of stars and then players playing in weird countries.
And like Andre Ayew's playing in
Qatar. I haven't looked. There's bound to be somebody who's unattached who doesn't have a club at the moment. Maybe Ronaldo by the time the tournament starts.
That's true. Yeah. They usually, like the Saudi Arabias of the world, usually have a couple of unattached players. Like, it's like, or Iran or Morocco or someone like that.
Cristiano Ronaldo said in his interview that he's not the kind of player that comes on with 3 minutes to go. You just don't do that. Unacceptable. So I'm looking forward to him being subbed on.
Oh, wouldn't it be 87 minutes?
Wouldn't it be amazing if he refused to come on? Just stomped out.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It would be just make my day. And then Portugal go on to win it without him in his absence. That would actually probably be funnier though, if Portugal won it and he was on the bench.
Yeah, that's right. He still get to lift it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, just like he did the Euros, like John Terry.
There's a couple other groups we haven't talked about. So we've got players in most of these groups, which is nice, actually keeps the interest. But I think it's Group E, Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, Japan. We haven't got any players. Obviously, David De Gea didn't make the Spain squad because Enrique hates him with a passion. I don't know why. I mean, actually, I was looking at some stats yesterday just to go off topic a little bit, and De Gea is actually in the bottom left quadrant for shot stopping and distribution this season. Shot stopping as well. I mean, I know it feels like he's actually had a good season, but the data doesn't back that up.
Because I feel like he's almost been back to like his best in that regard.
It does feel like it, but
clearly.
Apparently. So yeah, Spain, Germany's, I guess, the standout game of the opening group stage. Yeah. I mean, it should be a decent German side at the moment.
And if you look at
growing Spain
those
side,
two managers, they've both won trebles in club football, which is incredible at international level, really. Like Hansi Flick and Luis Enrique.
It is, because international football has sort of become the secondary partner to the Champions League, hasn't it? And sometimes it feels like that in terms of standards as well. But hoping this is a good game. Japan and Costa Rica in the other teams.
Yeah, they're in trouble, aren't they? Them two.
Yeah, I imagine so. And then perennial golden generation owning Belgium, Canada, Morocco and Croatia. Croatia, aging side, obviously we saw them in the Euros last year, not quite as good as they once were. This Canada side's very good. I mean, they've got some really good players. They beat both Mexico and USA in qualification. Be interesting. I mean, you don't expect it, but what have they got?
It's fun to see them there. And there was Alphonso Davies got injured, didn't he, in one of the games before the tournament? I was like, oh my God, no. It's like a Mane or a Son who kind of these late injuries, but I think he's completely fine, isn't he? Thankfully. And yeah, he's going to be really exciting to watch. Jonathan David will be an interesting one to watch since he's had such a good season in the Liga this year.
Really good season.
We keep getting linked to United as well.
Well, look, we need a striker. There will be a space in the squad. He's scoring a lot of goals. So maybe he always seemed a bit flakier than like top level, but so he's scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah, it's Burak Yilmaz scored a lot of goals in Liga, and I think he's probably unattached these days. So that was only like 2 seasons ago. It's an interesting league.
Yeah. Belgium, haven't they been like dark horses for about the last 17?
Yeah, can we still call them dark horses? They've still got the same squad for the last 17 World Cups as well. Like you look at the squad, and you're like, this is exactly the same. Still got Eden Hazard in there.
No, they do, who's not had any kind of season at all for like the last 4 seasons, as far as I can tell. Yeah, Tom and Paul of former Rantcast NQAT fame think I have an agenda against him, which maybe I do, but I don't think he's nearly the player. His talent.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't go on about that too much. Sadly, no Marouane Fellaini.
That is a sadness.
Sad.
Yes. That would be great.
Sad. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win it?
I was slagging them off, but I think Brazil. I'd love Argentina to win it for Messi.
Yeah, me too. Something about this whole Ronaldo thing has made me a big Messi fan now.
Though he actually did, I think that was like the most polite sentence that he said.
It was, where he was actually nice about Messi. Yeah, because
there was a route, well, I think Piers Morgan said, Ronaldo's going to drop a bombshell about Messi tonight. So I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, you can't even attack Messi, surely. But he did come out and say he's like a teammate. And Messi has taken money from the Qatari regime, which, I mean, it's cognitive dissonance in my head right now, like saying that I want Messi to win it. But it just feels, I think for me, it feels like almost like a selfish thing that I want to say that I've seen the best player in the world. And Messi I think on so many metrics, is the best player who's probably ever lived. You think about, no one has been sustainably as good at club football. All we've talked about, like he's best dribbler we've ever seen, he's the best pass we've ever seen, the best goal scorer we've ever seen. And for him not to have a World Cup next to his resume just feels like a stick that everyone can always beat him with, and it would just be lovely for him to just go out on that.
They did win Copa America.
They did win a Copa America. And he also got to a World Cup final and lost in extra time. And he set one up for Higuain and missed a sitter. So it's not like he's been miles away every single time. But it would just be a lovely...
Higuain apologised to Messi for that one. Although I kind of felt like he should apologise to the whole Argentina squad, nation, this diaspora. But just to Messi. Yeah, they've got a good side. They won a Copa America. They've got a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's definitely some weaknesses.
And also, I imagine Lisandro Martinez, he celebrates a tackle with like more euphoria than I've ever expressed in my whole life. So I can to just imagine his little face if they won the World Cup. He'd never stop smiling.
Taking Ronaldo out of the knees in one of the knockout games.
Hopefully Bruno just does that.
Anyway, they've got a chance. France, obviously, because they're so strong. Although, obviously, missing Pogba, and I know United fans like to have a go at Pogba, and he's not done anything for Juve this season. But that knee injury didn't recover in time, and that does leave a hole
as well.
They do. Kante's missing as well, right? Tuchemeni, he's been great. I mean, he's such a good player. He's two players in one. But they've definitely some players missing, I think. And up front, Benzema, Giroud, obviously.
Yeah, Benzema's not had a good...
Benzema's been amazing.
He's not had a good season this year.
Not had a good start to the season, yeah. So, yeah, definitely some question marks there about France. And in England, I don't know. I mean, like, you look at how many creative players England have got. Kane, Rashford, Sterling, Foden, Mount,
Maddison.
I mean, there's so much talent there. Bellingham, who's been outstanding for Dortmund this season. Can Southgate get out of his head and out of his Southgate-ness and allow England to play football or not?
No, I don't think. I just don't see it for England. I feel that the last few games have really kicked all the enthusiasm out of this England side as well. I feel like the momentum has just completely been railroaded. I think that the fans, the lack of buy-in from the fans regarding this tournament, it's all negative, and I think it's going to be difficult to switch that, flick that switch and get out of that kind of negative mindset that England have kind of found themselves in recently. Like the Nations League, despite how little the fans care for it, they were the last few games, and it was a complete disaster. That whole run, losing 4-0 at home to Hungary, is incredible for me as a Hungarian. But that group was just an absolute unmitigated disaster. And then there was even talks after that Hungary game that Southgate should go. And there's huge pressure on him, really. And like you say, is he going to go against his principles of playing this negative football, which we've seen for so long? I don't think he will. And I also just don't think when England come up against a side like Spain or Germany, especially those two who have got world-class coaches, I just don't think Southgate's got it in him with an inferior side. I think England, not too inferior like we've seen in the past, but with an inferior side to tactically best someone like Hansi Flick or Luis Enrique, even Didier Deschamps, and the Brazilians and Argentinian sides. From all accounts, Argentina are really tactically flexible. Brazil are similar. I think they've come a long way in that regard. And is Southgate a guy who got Middlesbrough relegated really at that level? He's done a great...
No, he's still managing Middlesbrough.
Exactly, and he's done a really good job of dressing room environment, making that good, a bit like Ollie. But I just don't think he's got what it takes to turn this around. And I think it might be a last 16 exit. Maybe not if they get an easy-ish, which they could easily get an easy-ish last 16 game.
Well, in my brackets that I did this morning in preparation for this, I have England coming up against Senegal in the last 16.
And Senegal aren't going to be great.
And Denmark in the last 8. So I reckon an exit to Denmark in the last 8 that's my prediction.
Well, that won't go down well with the English press
wrong.
either, because Denmark aren't this big side. And you never know. Like, England could easily get...
No, this could be the end of Southgate.
Could easily get through Denmark, though. And then we're talking about semi-final again after an easy-ish run. Like, if England go out to Senegal, a Mane-less Senegal, that is bad. Like, Senegal are a good side. They've got some really good players. But a Mane-less Senegal is not the same. But I think they'll get through that. I think they potentially could get through Denmark. And you're talking about a semi-final again after not coming up against a top side.
No, they'll probably do it scoring 3 goals all from free kicks.
Yeah, or Harry Kane's
like
ankle or whatever.
They don't excite me at all for all the attacking talent. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know what options are on the table if Southgate did go after this, because Saudi Arabia's Eddie Howe is obviously at Newcastle, and Sam Allardyce is retired.
Graham Potter, when did he get sacked from Chelsea?
Graham, he might have got sacked by Chelsea.
Yeah, it might be then. Yeah,
that's true.
Wouldn't be.
I mean, I do think Graham Potter would do well at international level. I think his coaching style fits the international game.
Yeah, I
pretty
think
well.
he'd be a good appointment, and I don't think he's going to make the end of the season for Chelsea. He just doesn't seem like a good fit at that club.
All right. Well, look, despite everything that's happening in the World Cup, which I'm not going to forget, and I'm sorry, I will probably bang on about during the World Cup. We'll probably do some content during the World Cup. I haven't really got a plan, but I think we'll drop into your feed every now and again with some thoughts, seeing what's happened with the United players and Ronaldo. So I'll keep banging on about it because I think it's worth talking about again and again, because otherwise it's so easy to forget. If you remember the last World Cup in Russia, the football was great, and we all forgot about the fact that it's a repressive dictatorial regime that only 3 and a bit years earlier had invaded Ukraine in Crimea. Right? We all forgot, and we're guilty about that. And we shouldn't make the same mistake this time. And all caveats, I'm not trying to other. I do understand that some aspects of the culture, like having beer at football, is very different. But the people have died and suffered and continue for us to be entertained and for FIFA to make a load of money. And I did note, by the way, that Jack Warner he lost his hearing. He will be extradited to the US to face criminal charges over stuffing his pockets with money. So the chickens are coming home to roost in that aspect. We may well find out more after this tournament just how much was paid. By the way, Tom, have you seen the Netflix?
I haven't watched it, actually. I was going to actually watch it after today.
It's great.
It
looks
well
great
just from the trailer. That is good to know. It's excellent. Perfect timing as well. Perfect timing.
I mean, I don't know that there's new stuff there that I hadn't heard before, but it does kind of gather it all in one place.
That's good. And
just such a quasi-criminal. It's like a mafioso, the way FIFA is run. And the fact that Infantino is almost certainly going to get elected to run for a third time unopposed.
It feels more calculated under his watch as well.
He is the great. Well, yeah, that is. But it's still playing the same game. Yeah. They still distribute much of the money to associations as effectively as bribes. Now, it may be for development purposes and educational purposes, but so many of those facilities never get built.
Yeah.
So much of that money just disappears. So, and I don't know how to fix that. The corruption bit, obviously that's the FBI and other authorities trying to look into that. The Swiss seem utterly unable to do that. But the idea that you'd move away from one member, one vote just doesn't seem right. Is it population based? In which case, the next World Cup will be in India. Although, hey, that would be great fun. It would be great fun. I mean, what is it? You entrench power in Western countries, so that doesn't seem right either. It's the global.
I feel like there just needs to be a restart on FIFA in general, and I think that actually potentially is possible. Like, what the FIFA do apart from the World Cup? There is that.
Well, nothing. They lose money every year apart from World Cup.
Exactly, and there's the talk about the South Americans playing the Europeans in the nations in a combined nations league, and I imagine FIFA are terrified of that prospect. You bring in the likes of America and Mexico, Canada, huge markets into that. You start inviting the Asian teams into it. you're not far off creating a World Cup. Obviously, talking about the problem is they might end up leaving like behind the smaller nations in the world. You think of Africa, how much money are they going to bring if this kind of thing?
It is that is UEFA. That is about money, but
the power can easily be shifted if people want it to happen, and FIFA must be terrified.
Yes, I'd like. I mean, I think you're right. I would like FIFA to be disbanded, or maybe a rump continues as basically unifying the international calendar and setting the laws of the game, although that's IFAB, and some kind of marketing engine that sells broadcast rights and distributes money from the World Cup. But yeah, fundamental change is needed. But there's no one forcing that. There's just no one. They act like a quasi-governmental body that's in fact above the law. And it's despite the FBI raids a few years back, and despite charges, and despite some people, maybe even Jack Warner, going to prison for corruption, the fundamentals haven't changed.
Yeah, it's scary.
Anyway, should we leave
what
it
a
there?
Lovely note.
I know it's great, but it's great. Human rights abuse and corruption.
Yeah, but that's what the World Cup's going to be remembered for. Like, despite what happens on the pitch, it's always going to be remembered for this. So, and that's a good thing. Like you said earlier in the show, like the way that the media in England, especially, and the West have led this charge and relentlessly led this charge about trying to get to the bottom of what's been going on in Qatar has been like really quite heartwarming, actually. And yeah, like I'm hoping it continues unabated during the football as well. Like, obviously we're all massive football fans. We're all going to try and enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, just I guess it's just important just not to forget what has happened in order to create this.
Good note to end on. Thanks, Tom.